So this is my first video if I decide to publish it. I have, oh God, where do I start? This is, excuse me, basically just a video representation of my journey spiritually, emotionally. I started out doing lives on my Facebook, but I think I'm being called to do this. Anyway, I'll decide. If you're looking at it, I guess I decided I was called to publish it on my YouTube. So this is, if you're watching this, if you're deciding, like, do you want to watch it, it's, like I said, it's just one woman's journey through life. My life hasn't been the worst by any means. I came to my adulthood missing a lot, though. And I'm gonna try to just be as authentic as I can be. I'm just gonna be me. At first, when I was thinking about doing this, because I'm a teacher in the school system, I was like, oh God, well, I gotta watch every word I say. But then that's not me. That's what I have to do in the classroom. And of course, you know, I'm not complaining about that. That's what we all do at our jobs if we're working in a lot of jobs in the world. If we're not working for ourselves. So if profanity offends you, you probably don't want to watch this. Not that I'm like this prolific cusser, but, you know, I'm just going to speak the way I really speak if you were one of my close confidants. Because quite frankly, that's part of where I'm at in my journey, is I'm just realizing how much of my life, and I'll be 56 in a few weeks, how much of my 56 years has been about performing according to someone's expectations. Who the fuck knows who? Certainly not mine. And what I'm really coming to realize, not God's either. I'm in what you might call, or someone who works with me closely, emotionally, says I'm in a dark night of the soul right now. I'm just a regular old person who has been prompted by life and the goodness of blessing to look into more of, who am I? What am I really here for? What am I called to do? Or more importantly, who am I called to be? Because I've done a lot in my life, even though, yeah, I'm a small town mom, and some people may look at my life and think, you know, so what? You're just a mom and a school teacher. People don't have a lot of value for either of those these days, it seems. But I think I'm called to something else higher than, I won't say higher than motherhood. I just can't go there. It's the best thing it's a tremendous high calling if you're a mom, or if your heart would love to be a mom, but you haven't been allowed to be one. Know that I hear you and I see you. And I hold space for you, for sure. I feel like I was blessed with motherhood. I had 6 living children. 1 non-living that I know about, Jordan Colby, I've been calling on her, because that would have been her name if she had been born. It was not my boy name, so I call her her. All I know really is that Jordan Colby's a soul. And I do ask her prayers for me and our family, because she's part of our family. I'm walking because it's what I do. I'm a very kinesthetic person. I need to move. I came out here to find some answers this morning and find some peace in my soul. So I've been through therapy quite a bit. I've been through things in life that, some of you've probably been through. And I'm just to the point where I've realized about myself, this is a confession here. This is just a sharing of openness. Man, I think all the time. I'm thinking all the time, for one, instead of just feeling and noticing, because that's what I really want to start doing. Feeling and noticing things, and not just think. But I think all the time, and I worry all the time about what I say, what I do, how I'm perceived. Will they like me? Am I doing something wrong? I've had this image and this word of myself for years that I'm just a bitch. And I wonder how many women have that. Like, that's what you feel like describes you. Or maybe that's what you are when you're your not self. When you're not really living the truest form of who you are. I think those of us that have, for whatever reason, taken on that title of bitch, I think what that really probably means most times is we've been hurt, and it's showing up that we've been hurt. Now, sometimes it's just someone else's uncomfortableness with our straightforwardness or with our truth. Sometimes people are called that and looked at that because they just speak the truth that makes someone else uncomfortable. If it's accompanied with a lot of anger, then a lot of times it has to do with being hurt. So that's been a title or a cape, I guess, that I've worn for many, many years. I don't think I gave it to myself, obviously, but at some point I began to accept that. And then it made me really feel bad about myself. The irony is that I already was feeling bad, so it just added more shame. If I even post this, it just seems like I'm rattling. I want to tell you that I was sitting with my oldest son a few months ago, before Christmas, talking about how my life was starting to open up for me. And I've had different periods of opening up. I've been married and divorced more times than you want to know. A friend of mine, we jokingly say, just a way of describing that is, I was in high demand. Anyway, at this particular awakening in my life, this particular point of growth, it began last November 2021. And then it really had a crack open moment. I was really cracked open the first 5 days of January this year, because I took this online intensive I'll call it a course. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was an intensive workshop called Fear to Fuck It. To move from fear in your life to F it in your life. Like, as in, F all the negativity, F all the fear, F all the craziness that's held you back from just being who you were gloriously created to be. So somewhere between November and January, I was sitting out here on this trail. You're walking with me on my trail around my house with my oldest son, and part of my journey includes yoga. And I was telling him about it, and I decided I really felt like I was called to be a trained instructor. And he was telling me, Mom, you should start a YouTube channel. And I said, I'm just going to tell you what I told him. I said, Luke, I need to get my shit together more before I'm ready to do that. And he said, you know, Mom, that's just it. People want to watch the journey. They don't want to watch after you've, quote, arrived or whatever. So this is my journey. So, all my life I've tried to achieve. My parents, while my parents were very loving, especially like physically nurturing, hold you, and verbally affirming in a lot of ways, they were also very wounded people themselves. And my own children, I think, in all honesty, would say that about me. That's very much how I think I parented, at least the way I see it. Very nurturing, and yet at the same time very damaging, because I was so wounded myself. I'm an intense person. You know, I can be intense on whatever emotion I'm feeling. And so I've mentioned before, if you follow me on Facebook, that I started working with a life coach, Coach B, Brittany, who has helped me see, and she started helping me see how I was cracked. I mean, I needed to be cracked open, how I was hurt, how I just I felt stuck, is what I told her. I knew that I wasn't living freely within myself. Some of you, I think that resonates with you, because I just feel like there's a lot of us like this, that we go through our day-to-day jobs and family, and we're constantly fearing what others think of us. Now, as soon as I say that, I know there's a whole bunch of you that are like, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. Da-da-da-da. Well, here's the deal. Maybe. You know, but I think the majority of people that I hear saying that, that's just a facade too. You say that, but I wonder, not that there aren't those who really don't care, but people who really don't care what people think of them, truly, the people that are truly free of that, they're so kind and nonviolent and loving. So I don't hear a lot of that. When I hear I don't care what people think, I hear a lot of anger and self-defense, which is just another mask. So, anyway, one thing I've learned about myself is that I'm a people pleaser, or at least I have been all my life. I'm breaking out of that now, just by doing this. If I publish this, puts myself out there, makes me very vulnerable. And you know what I worry about most is that people will think I'm weak. That's a big fear of mine, that people will think I'm weak. But in all honesty, in some ways, I'm very weak. I'm very wounded, and I don't want to live in victimhood, and I have been. So, you know, I'm getting out of that. This, ironically, is a sign of strength that I'm even saying this to all of you. So, I'm climbing out of that. I'm shedding that cape. There will be those of you who don't understand, and you may think I'm weak. or pitiful or whatever, but that's okay, because this isn't for you, or you're not ready for it at this time. So my story, part of my story, at least part that I see, is my marriage where I had a bunch of kids, 5 of them, because I had a marriage, very short marriage, where I had my oldest child. And she's my ride or die child. We've been through a lot together. I've put her through a lot. I had her when I was 23, which at the time, I was a very young mom among her peers, moms. I had my last child at 41, so I'm the old mom among his peers. I guess I like extremes. Anyway, I've been a very Catholic homeschool mom for about 9.5 years. And when I say very Catholic, I was as sincere as I knew how to be. I lived it and breathed it. It was as real as I knew how to be. And our family lived that. At the same time, all during that time, I was so angry and struggling. Like, why am I so angry? Did a lot of counseling, self-help books. I remember one time my oldest, we're very joking, and I mean, we just kind of, in a lot of ways, are honest and open in our family, in some ways, and with sarcasm. So that tells you something. But I was reading this book that my counselor had me read called something about Rageaholic. And my oldest child saw me in bed reading it. She just started laughing. And I said, you laugh, baby. This will be your book one day. Because that's what happens, right? We try to heal and parent. And we do probably better than our parents in a lot of ways. And then, you know, there's some real ways that we just carry on the same old shit in our parenting. At least that's been true for me. And I really, that when I see people and when people are really honest and get down to it, that's kind of the way it is. So, I found out through the Enneagram, y'all can look that up, starts with an E. A priest helped me find that. It's really an interesting way to understand your own psychology and your own personality. That I am a number 3, which is an achiever. And what I'm learning now, once I learned that, was interesting. You know, the more you know about yourself, the more you can understand how you communicate with the world and what you bring to the world and where your flaws that you need healing are and where your gifts are. And what I'm finding out now is that my personality, that's just how I learned to deal with life as a child. And so I became this achiever. But now I'm trying to shed that cape. And not that I don't want to achieve things here and there, but really I just want to be. I want to learn to be a beer. Just to be. Maybe not even an to it, just to be. And to commune with Great Spirit. And then I don't have to worry about what I'm achieving or not achieving. Or I don't have to worry so much about how am I coming across to you and what do you think of me? Because in all honesty, what you think of me has everything to do with you and not me. Everything. What someone thinks of us, that's their journey. If they're judgmental, that's their journey. It's not about you or me. If you're judgmental about somebody, it's because whatever they're saying is bringing up a story or stories in yourself and your past. Like when you get upset about something, when I get upset about something, even if it's just a icky feeling or a judgment, because our thoughts are so fast First of all, we have to slow down to even know what we're thinking or feeling. You know, those of us who are doers avoid a lot of feelings, recognizing them, and avoid dealing with them, and just knowing they're there, and avoid a lot of thoughts because we're just so busy doing. It's a defense mechanism. So around October, November, I was going to CrossFit, which I love the CrossFit people here. They're wonderful. I was getting up at 4:30 to have some meditation time, quiet time, and get to the 5:30 CrossFit class. Rushing to get home, only having 20 to 30 minutes when I get home to get ready to get out the door to be at my job by 7:30. And my blood pressure was high. My sugar was high. I couldn't get rid of this pesky weight that I've just had for several years. I just felt like, what the fuck? I need help, God. And I don't want to go down the medicine train. I do not want to go down the medicine train. Not that there's not a place for medicine. I'm all about that. Took an antibiotic last week. I'll get to that. But I just really, truly believe we have way more control of our bodies, and that the answer's in nature. I mean, I'm just going to share with you my personal belief. The answer was in the garden from the very beginning, and it's still in the garden. And I begged God to help me send me help. And I was thinking like it would be a homeopathic doctor, or what do you call it, acupuncturist, or something that would help my body get in line. I'll show you where I'm sitting if I can. Can I flip my camera? I guess not. Well, maybe I'll just do that. There's where I'm gonna sit. My husband built that nice little platform for us, and I'll look out at this pasture here. There's my dog. Anyway, I beg God, and I'll tell you, damn it, 9.9 times, probably 10 times, I just don't recognize it out of 10, God answers. But it's not always like I think. And somehow I connected with Coach B, and somehow through her hypnosis with me, I realized that I've always wanted to serve people through the body. And that's how I came to become a yoga instructor. And yet, at the same time, I think all my life I have suffered under what's called the poser complex. Like, the more I achieve, the more people think I'm something, and then I fear that I'm really not something. Being a teacher in this day and age in the public school system is just the prime place for posers to grow, because there's so much pressure put on you that's unrealistic. It's freaking unrealistic. I am a product of mostly public schools, a few private schools here and there. My husband is a product of all but 1 year of public school. He went to private school 1 year. My parents were products of public school systems in Florida, mind you, and they were highly intelligent, functional, educated people, and they didn't go through all the crap that we put our kids through now. And teachers, put our teachers through. Jesus. I've never felt such pressure, and unrealistic pressure. So in order to do my job well, I really felt like I needed to be stronger mentally, spiritually, to let all those false expectations go, even though that's what I'm graded on. Oh my gosh, there's a Marzano method now that we're in our district's using, and it's like, I can't even tell you how many little boxes that our administrators have to check. I don't even worry about it, because I'm going to teach from my heart and from what I intuitively know that these children need, and from the relationships that I build with them. I don't need them to progress monitor 3 times a year, interrupt everything we're doing to know where they are and what they need work on. My teachers never had to do that either, because if you're in the field, not that you're perfect, not that you can't be, improve, but if you're in the teaching field, you're in there because you love the interaction, or at least there's something in there drawing you, and you have interaction, you get to know your kids. Anyway, I digress. But being a people pleaser and being an achiever, that just wrecked me. I wasn't strong enough to feel successful in that system. And yet, here's the irony. I won Teacher of the Year a few years ago. I won it because I had this wonderful, supportive friend that taught with me, and we put together a creative program that on the day that we filmed. I mean, some people call that a dog and pony show. That's kind of and I wonder, that's a teacher thing. When you know you're going to be evaluated, you put on the dog and pony show. But I think that's what a lot of us do in life. We put on the dog and pony show. But inside, we're wrecks. Inside, we're like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh God, I'm such a poser. I can't live up to this pressure. I don't know what to do next. My thoughts are so scattered. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of things that people think in their heads. Anyway. So I came to first this coach, and then I came to a group of people who are all about being authentic. In that Fear to Effort class I took in January, it was all about, so freeing just to hear people speak from their heart and to be like, you know what? You're here for a purpose. And if you just sit quietly, and of course my mind races when I sit quietly, but I've learned to just focus on my breath. I've learned to YouTube guided meditations. I've learned to connect with people who are growing in similar paths on their own journey. And I'm learning to settle my mind. And I'm hearing God, which, I hate saying this. People misinterpret this all the time. Because let me tell you, I was raised with such staunch religion. I was raised in Southern Baptist, everything. And God bless my father. He was a man of God. He was a very wounded man of God, okay? He had the best traits and so loving. And at the same time, he was freaking wounded and caused a lot of harm in our family. And I have a lot of him in me. He was a major influence in my life. But I'm just telling you, I have like super Southern Baptist. Then I was super Catholic. And now I don't go to church anywhere. Although my brother's a Presbyterian minister, and for years he has been what I call my man of cloth. He would be who I would go to when I really felt like I needed a man of cloth. He's a good soul. But my point is, I'm at a place now where God speaks to me in the most precious, real, tangible way. And if I shared with you how that happens each day, a lot of people wouldn't understand and they would think I'm evil. So there's still parts of me that I feel aren't safe enough to share. But in time, I think that will come. Let's just suffice it to say now that I do believe, honestly, in my soul, that there is a God, a higher power, a great spirit, creator of the universe, a great source of all energy. I don't really care what you call it. I don't care if you think of it as him, her. I say him a lot just from my 55 years of calling God him. But I don't think any of that matters. I mean, the source of all energy, the creator of the universe, the great spirit is so much bigger than yours or my trigger on what we call and refer to that as. So much bigger. Anyway, so I'm being called to yoga and I'm struggling. My classes are taking off and like people are coming to my classes and it's not really about me. It's not. And yet, those people that show up in my classes day after day, class after class, they have no idea how God is using them to minister to my heart. But I really want God to use me to minister to people, not for any prideful reason for myself, not for any public recognition for myself. But I feel like I have gone through life and endured much pain, many blessings, and God still isn't just leaving me hanging. Although I grew up thinking that's kind of how God was, because we learn about God through our parents. And I knew God was loving. I knew this great spirit there was loving and powerful. But here's the deal. I didn't think he was loving or powerful for me. I felt like there's a God, there's a great spirit, there's a power, there's divine love, and yet I was kind of on the outskirts. Like, yeah, but it won't happen for me. He won't speak to me. And that has a lot to do with, quite frankly, my parents that both and that they loved me and yet they did not have time for me. I was a burden in their life. And, you know, they didn't mean to convey that, but that's what I got. You know, there was no time for me. I just needed to be perfect, achieve, and shut the hell up. And if any of my kids ever even watch this, my heart aches if they feel that way, but they probably do. And I never meant to do that. And I know my parents didn't mean to do that. But it is what it is. And the pain needs to be acknowledged and felt. And then that energy needs to pass through us. So we're not stuck in it. Because I really believe that's what happens to so many people. They get stuck in that pain, that lack, that whatever your parents did or didn't do. Whatever happened to you that was terrible. We have to slow down enough to feel it first, because we spend a lot of time being busy so we don't feel it, because it sucks and it hurts too bad and you feel like you're going to die. I have hurt so badly emotionally. I felt like I was going to die. And I have wanted to die many times because it just felt too painful being here. And I'm learning now. I'll be honest with you. My oldest child, well, the first time that I felt like killing myself and I didn't have kids. And it's funny. I was afraid of going to hell. Told y'all I had all that religious and stuff big time. Every time after then, it's my kids that kept me from doing it. Because somewhere deep down I knew that as bad as I am, or, you know, the bad traits that I had and the anger and the hurt that I just couldn't seem to get a grasp on, they were still better off with that than me abandoning them through that way. So they kept me alive. Every one of them. But now I'm learning that I'm not just my feelings. I have feelings and I need to feel them, but I need to process them. They're just energy. Those feelings are literally energy. If they have scientific tools that can measure the energy coming off of our bodies, they can measure the energy inside us. We're all radiating energy around us. This is science. It's not woo-woo stuff. And you see what I just did? My cry out to God for help, thinking he was going to send me some homeopathic doctor, led me to a whole practice. People think yoga is just the asana, just the positions and the poses. It's not. It's a whole life of teaching. And prana is part of it, and breathing. And it's leading me to realize all these feelings that I've been avoiding, that I try to work so much energy around making sure I don't have to feel them, or being so upset when I start to feel them and acting out in a negative way. It's just energy. And right now on my journey, I'm practicing slowing my ass down, letting those feelings come, letting those thoughts come. I'll do a whole nother thing on thoughts. But recognizing, oh, that's just energy. Energy from my past. Because it is energy from my past. Even if I'm worried about my future, it's because, I'll give you an example. If I've got something coming up this week and I need to do it, and I'm worried about doing it, I won't do it well enough. I won't succeed. Okay, it's all energy, feelings from my past. Those feelings of the people that were supposed to be there for me, they fucking weren't. They weren't there. They abandoned me emotionally. Look, through no fault of their own, through their own wounds, okay? I'm not blaming them. I'm not ruining their legacy, because I told you all along, I got wonderful things and I got some really shitty things. Okay? The feelings about what's going on now or what I've got to do this week or next week, the feelings that come through that create a lot of worry and angst and negative thoughts, they're those feelings from my past. I don't even recognize that a lot of times. I'm starting to recognize that now, though. I'm learning about it. So because I was abandoned in the past, because I was in relationships that the other person was not emotionally available to me, and because nobody could be available to me enough because I wasn't available to myself. And my husband, who committed suicide, the ultimate abandonment, all of that is what plays into those fears of, oh God, I hope I'm okay. I hope I can trust this person to see the good in me, to not abandon me emotionally. I hope I'm good enough. That's what it comes down to. Good enough. I think that's what I'll title this, because I'm coming to an end for today. I'm here to tell you that you freaking are good enough. That those feelings you're feeling and those thoughts that kind of go along with you're not good enough, that's just energy from your past. Take some deep breaths and let that shit move through you. Okay? Peace out for today.